7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Yes, that was the wrong intro. I already had a live show earlier today, and that's one of the tools in StreamYard is you can set up the intro to play right when you go live instead of go live and then click a button, and that's why that occurred. This is not Between the Slicks. You could have saw that earlier today. You can see it tomorrow. This is the Competition Plus Power Hour. I'm Lee Kraft, a.k.a. the Monday Morning Racer. Over there, Mr. Duchesne Bland, and we're going to be talking some Southeast Gassers Association drag racing and then some NHRA Sportsman drag racing all across the board, which are both happening this weekend throughout the country. Duchesne.
Yes, it should be a great weekend of drag racing. As you know, we will be at the Sega event in South Georgia Motorsports Park. I'm really looking forward to that. It's going to be a blast. The weather is going to be great on both ends of the country, so we shouldn't have to worry about any craziness when it comes down to weather and weather delays. Should be a good weekend for drag racing.
Absolutely. It certainly should be across the board. Looking forward to it. And there's a lot of drag racing happening this weekend. We can talk about that once we get through our guests this fine evening. Wherever you are watching from, dive into the comment sections. Let us know. Hit the like button. Hit the share button. Thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe to Competition Plus, the YouTube channel. I was watching some old school drag racing earlier today from the 80s and the IHRA. So if you want to see old school, new school, back from the past and right in the present drag racing news, you're certainly going to get it at competitionplus.com and on the Competition Plus YouTube channel. Well, Duchesne, I think we will roll right into Mr. Greg Stelse. He is the driver of the Joker in the Southeast Gassers Association in the A-Gas category. He is certainly swinging large for even more than wins, a record in the A-Gas category. And for us to swing, well, we're pumped up by Weldon High Performance and their applications for all their pumps, whether that's in aviation or down the drag strip. Weldon And we instantly lost Greg. Wow,
That's weird.
that was weird. Let me see if we can bring him back. It says says they will need to connect their mic cam before you can add them to the stream. That's interesting. All right, so we are going to kick Greg and we're going to let him come back in. That's a technical difficulty that I have not had. You know, it's funny, Duchesne.
I've never
I
had
do
that.
enough of these live shows, and I tell people all the time, just roll the punches.
Yep.
Something inevitably will happen.
Yep.
And though I love going live, and there's really StreamYard is a great platform, and there's other great platforms as well, something inevitably will happen. We've got Greg back. Here he is. Now we've got the cam. Now we got the mic. He's live with us, the Joker, Greg Stelse. Welcome, man.
How you guys doing?
Doing great. Doing great. Well, I'm sure you are ready to get out of, well, there it went again. That's different.
That's different.
I mean, the whole time for like 15 minutes talking behind stage before the show goes live. No problem.
Yeah. That's fitting. No problem. And our guest next was winning at no problem.
Well, I know this. I would like to have no problems right now. And
Right.
Right. By the way, speaking of no problem, what a great track. What a great facility. Nelson Hoyas and the gang down there do such a great job. They had a great event this past weekend. And I know Drag Racing Mayhem's like, hey, you know, we got race week back. it was race week for the NHRA last weekend too. Just because the NHRA Mission Food Series isn't in action doesn't mean NHRA drag racing action is not happening. Nitro was being spent and methanol was being burned and race gas was being pumped and put in the atmosphere.
It was great.
Good or bad.
Back-to-back weekend.
Race fans down there, no problem.
Yeah, they had a back-to-back big-time weekend this weekend. Even had Brian Loams on the premises doing some announcing there. I think they streamed a bit of that race live, so it was fun, man. I caught a bit of that. It's always cool to see that racetrack on, whether you're there or whether you're able to watch it online. It's always cool. And man, how about Jackie Frick?
They have that place figured out. She was the defending champion from last year, and they were running some stout numbers. They have that place figured out for sure. We're going to try. Third time's a charm.
I have no idea what's going on, but I try to go back in, and it says I can't get back in, but then all of a sudden it lets me. So I don't know.
All right, we're going to hold out and hope that we've got you good for this time. Wow, just in the green room, just chatting away, go live, everything changes. No problem. No problem, though.
No problem.
I think that South Georgia sounds a lot better than Waupaca, Wisconsin about right now, Greg.
Yeah, it does. I can't wait to leave. I'm going to be leaving tomorrow, probably noontime. Hopefully we can get everything done. We're really close. I mean, it's minor stuff with the trailer. We bought a brand new trailer, so we're converting stuff over. So car's pretty much ready. Feeling very confident. So we did a lot of changes over the winter, and with that Fulton power, we're ready.
I know I talked to Leslie Horn last week, and has it been a thrash for you guys, like everybody else?
Oh yeah, Leslie's right down to the wire too. Them guys are. I was talking to Brian tonight, and he was still working on the car. So
that's fun. Drag racing stuff there.
He's the man. So I mean, his car's going to be good no matter what. I think we're going to be really good. We did change a lot of things, so we just got to see what happens with that. Hopefully we can get it dialed in pretty quick. I know we're going to run some really good numbers, so I'm super happy. Can't wait to get the racing season started. It's going to be a lot of fun. I tell you, I wouldn't miss this one. No way.
Absolutely. This is going to be a spectacular event. We look at the forecast. It's going to be great weather down there at South Georgia Motorsports Park. South Georgia Motorsports Park, known as well as Raul Torres shared with us on Sega Live, the house of flying cars.
He's not
for
lying.
Famous and infamous reasons. And I think that the Southeast Gassers Association is certainly going to be flying in mile per hour and elapsed time, because not to say anything against the tracks that we routinely travel to and participate at, but I don't think those tracks are quite up there with the caliber of the track that South Georgia Motorsports Park is. What are you expecting, Greg, at this facility that Sega is going to be traveling to?
It looks nice. So it'll be the biggest track that I raced at. It's going to be just super exciting down there for sure. I've been watching a lot of videos, so I just want to see that track. It looks really good. So I'm going to be super happy when we get down there. Cars should, like I said, all the cars should run very well. I think the record would get beat multiple times by, just about anybody in A-Gas. But I hope at the end of the day we are on top. That's the plan.
What are some of the big things that you guys were able to do this all season to kind of step up your program and kind of keep up or surpass some of the heavy hitters that you have to go up against there in your class?
Our biggest thing was our motor program. We think we're on top of our motor program now. We were definitely lacking in that part. And then we did some stiffing it up in the rear end of the car, just to be more consistent with it. We lowered the motor in the car 2.5 inches, which is really going to help the car. So we got a couple other stuff that them guys will find out later about.
Can't tell everybody what's been done for sure.
Yeah.
Those are some significant changes, though. I mean, 2.5 inches. Doing some stiffening to get that car to transfer that weight that much better and rock it on down the drag strip.
We might struggle a little bit in the beginning. Hopefully we get a bunch of tests in. But once we get it dialed in, it's gonna be a rocket ship.
Absolutely. And speaking of your rocket ship, I'm going to bring some photos up. What do you actually have? The Joker, as it is known. What is it? What is the combination? And how long have you had this 10 Indian?
I've had this car for over 11 years. It's a 1957 Pontiac Super Chief, and it has a 477 big block Chevy, Gene Fulton power, G-Force 4-speed, Mose rear end. The only thing that's original of the car is the roof and the quarters, and they don't make fiberglass parts for Pontiac, so I actually made the National Pontiac magazine a couple different times for stuff that we built on the car. The frame was all built in-house. It's Lee, when you were up, you seen the one we're building for my son right now. But yeah, this car just drew me when I seen it. So I bought it, and here we are, Southeast Gassers, racing the best in the world.
So how did you come up with the name, the Joker?
It was on the car.
Oh, wow.
It was on the car. So the car was originally raced back in the late 60s. And we were told that it had a Joker on it. I didn't know. I had no idea. So I just went with it until a guy found me in the staging lanes, and he showed me his driver's license, and his name was Dan Smith. And I'm like, "You, the guy in the car?" And he's like, "Yeah." And then he says, "This was my car. I found this car next to a barn. He bought it from the original guy." And then he told me he put the Joker on it. And I asked him, "Well, how fast do you run with it?" He said he never drove it. He said, "You're the first guy to ever drive it with the Joker on it." So I was, now it's me. But it was super cool. All the stories I got from the car over the years, but to meet the guy that actually he built most of that car. Now there's nothing left of what it is now. When I first got it, Dan did most all the work on that car.
Well, it certainly is a popular car. You and your wife, Leah, the car, it is a great package out there in the Southeast Gassers Association. We had an individual in the comment section ask how you got into drag racing. So bring us up to speed on your motorsports endeavors, getting into drag racing, and why Southeast Gassers Association drag racing.
Well, I started racing IMCA stock car in the beginning, and then went stock car, and I went IMCA modified. Then I went to super late models. And I mean, I loved racing the dirt for sure. But when I got out of racing, I promised my wife I'd never get serious in racing again. And we ended up going to the Meltdown Drags. I think it was number 2 or number 3 Meltdown. And I went there, and I was like hook, line, and sinker. And that's when I started looking for a car to buy, and I found the Joker. But then I seen Queen, and I seen Greg Porter, I think was there too, and Shannon Smith, and with the Pale Rider car. And I told my wife that's what we want to be doing, racing against them guys. So I kind of knew about Sega, just from YouTube and watching videos, and anybody who has a gasser, we already know who's the fastest around. So then I really started focusing on, okay, I want to do this. And, we raced around here. The Joker is the only drag car I've ever drove. So, I had got a lot of driving experience. I won a lot of races around back home here. I won lots of races in dirt. But now, it was time to race against the best. And they definitely are the best. End of the day, we're putting our Sega dues in, and that's what's going on right now. I just wish it was a little closer, so I didn't have to travel so far to do this. Maybe someday we'll be a little closer, though.
Yeah, Greg Speed Shop 2.
Yeah, that's right.
Or hey, G-Force, the official 4-speed of the Southeast Gases Association, they've got G-Force in Pennsylvania, and then you've got G-Force South with Roby Myrick. So, Greg Speed Shop South.
Yeah, that Tennessee looking good to me.
Hey, Tennessee is pretty cool.
It is. Speaking of Greg Speed Shop, what do you guys do at the Speed Shop?
We build custom cars. We're a 35,000 square foot facility. We build cars for guys all over the country. We do a lot of average guy stuff also, but we do a lot of high end cars. So it's a lot of them are 500,000 and up. A lot of them could be only 60, 70,000. Eventually, we want to build more all high-end stuff because we want to win some major awards and all the car stuff, from the Riddler to SEMA to Grand National Roadster Show. That were my 3 that I really want to get before I can't do it anymore.
What's the coolest car you've ever done?
Man, there's a lot. A lot of them. I'm a sucker for old Cadillacs, so I love old Cadillacs. 60, 59s, 64s. I got a 62 I have hidden in the back of one of my shops that I plan on. That might be one of my SEMA builds for sure. I keep it in the corner. I don't get to work on it because there's probably 60 cars at my shop right now that we're working on. So we're super busy in everything that we do, and then you throw Sega in there, and that's definitely tough sometimes.
Well, you can follow Greg's Speed Shop on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and you're going to be able to get a glimpse, certainly a good glimpse, a good look at what is happening there at the Speed Shop. If you want a behind-the-scenes tour on the Monday Morning Racer YouTube channel, Greg was kind enough to lead me around and showcase all the great things they've got going on. And what I love about his shop, Dugenet, is it's not just, the hot rodding and the street rodding and the race car and the speed shop elements. His wife, Leah's got a whole side that she has, and it's cool to see too with, vintage clothing and these. I love the rooms. Y'all got to watch the video. The rooms that are set up like it's 1950 something are just cool. And like people use them for photo opportunities and things of that nature. Photo shoots is very, very cool. Yeah, Greg, look, we're winding down our time with you. And my last question for you, I want to pose it this way. You've done a lot of cool things out there in the world of hot rodding. I know a lot of people out there in the car culture scene. What makes Sega, the Southeast Gassers Association, a destination event no matter what track they're going to for fan and racer alike?
It's amazing. I mean, it's all about, it's the family, it's the fans, it's everything. I mean, and the racing is so good. And I'm not ditching anybody else who races whatever they race, but man, there's no computers, there's no shift lights, it's 4-speed racing. It's weight by cubic inch, so you can't come in there with no 632 and think you're going to beat up on everybody because you're going to weigh 4,500 pounds. This is some serious racing, and anybody that races with Sega, they'll tell you the same thing. But it is, I don't know, there's something about it. And I think the more people that know about this, it'll be just like it was back in the 60s.
stuff. Looking forward to the deal at South Georgia Motorsports Park. It's going to be a blast.
Yeah, we'll be there. We plan on holding some trophies up.
Spectacular. Well, Greg, look, thank you for your time tonight here on the Competition Plus Power Hour. Look forward to seeing you at the track. They're at the first event in 2025 for the Southeast Gassers Association. May the Joker go wild.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Thank you, Greg.
Yep.
Thanks, Greg.
It's going to be a cool event down there. The buzz around the Southeast Gassers Association there at South Georgia Motorsports Park on Sega Live. We had Raul Torres last week, and he has said that he's been getting phone call after phone call from this far place and that far place of people looking to attend and be at the Southeast Gassers Association event. And this is an interesting program in the portfolio at SGMP. They really don't have a nostalgia program. This is going to fill that void. This is going to fit that bill. And I do dare say that the Southeast Gassers Association drag racing is the premier gasser outfit that there is right now. There are other good gasser outfits, but I do believe, out of all that I've seen a good bit, Dugenais, that Sega is the premier gasser outfit. And you're going to experience that in person. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, man. I have been looking forward to this since the schedule came out, and this week can't get over quick enough. Friday can't get here fast enough. I'm really looking forward to chopping it up with those guys and getting to work and check out the action at the same time. It's going to be a blast.
It certainly is going to be a blast. Well, ladies and gentlemen, with this weekend having Mission Foods professional NHRA drag racing in action at the Arizona Nationals, you need to have your bracket ready. We are in the month of March. We can have our own form of madness with Drag Race Bracket Bonanza and filling out those brackets race by race. This word. And then Taylor Chomiski.
Drag racing fans, check out Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. It's the free, family-friendly fantasy bracket game. Now, after final qualifying at every national event, you can fill out your bracket for all the pro classes.
It's free, easy to click on your picks. If you need some help, just hit the randomizer button to fill in the blanks. It's for fun, stay engaged, and pick your winners today.
Mr. Chomiski, welcome to the Competition Plus Power Hour. We always like being able to chat with some sportsman racers because, well, I mean, in fact, y'all really aren't sportsman racers most of the time. I come to find that you all are just as professional as a professional and sometimes even more hardcore.
Yeah, we pride ourselves on our program, guys. Thank you so much for having me this evening. Lucas Oil Sports and Racer is something I'm really proud of. The NHRA is the pinnacle of drag racing, in my humble opinion, and to be a part of that and, to be on the same track as the Mission Food Series guys that, I grew up watching and idolizing is pretty special. So Competition Eliminator is a premier class, and that it's driven by the industry and driven by innovation, and that's something that keeps us coming back. So we pride ourselves at TC Racing and Chomiski Performance on being professional, showing up, try not to have anything leaking and parts breaking other than what happened last weekend. So
stuff happens.
Yeah,
it's part of it.
It's part of it. Stuff will happen. Dugenais, this man is competing in Competition Eliminator. That is a man's drag racing class right there.
Yeah, and I don't think people really realize like how competitive it is. Taylor, kind of give people an idea of like how many cars sometimes you're going against, how close the racing is, why you love Competition Eliminator so much.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love it obviously because of the passion my dad has for the class. Gary Chomiski, he's been in comp for, and in drag racing for 50 years now, with his businesses. But comp is not for the faint of heart. Winning a Wally at any NHRA race, divisional or national level, is extremely tough in any category. But comp is definitely chess, not checkers. Can you go out with a fast hot rod and win a race, maybe by being the fastest car out there? Yeah, you sure can, one time, and then your index gets adjusted. So there is no class racing for us as there is in stock and super stock, and we are not heads up like pro stock or the nitro cars or the alcohol cars. We're all index based, and so just like golf, if I'm playing against Tiger Woods, I'm probably going to get a little bit of advantage because I don't have quite the performance there. So it's weight per cubic inch. There are a lot of cars in our category. There were, 200 competitors around the country in our class last year. So there are a lot of competitors, but what makes comp unique is that it's all performance based. Getting to the finish line first wins every time. You can hurt yourself for the event on your index. You can hurt yourself for life, but it is to the wall, absolute drag racing. So do I want to go to the finish line every time on Sunday? No, I don't. I want to conserve my index, but it's 100% performance based. And one more cool thing about our class is I have a 2008 Chevrolet Cobalt, which is a mini pro stock car with the Liberty and the clutch. So I'm shifting, going down track. There it is right there. And, I can race against nostalgia dragsters, newer style dragsters, altereds, other door cars that are faster than me. I mean, with my car in my category that I choose to race, I leave the starting line first most of the time, about 90% of the time. And to be chased by cars that are catching me at the finish line going 50 mile an hour more than I am is hard to judge. And it's the game we play, and we live by the sword and we die by the sword. So it's such an innovative class that, the Chomiski guys just absolutely love.
Yeah, Dujanay, competition eliminator it is certainly chess over checkers, and so many wild combinations. I mean, the names escape me, but the car sticks out. There's a guy out there with a Ford Probe. And when I say Ford Probe, I don't mean like the pro stock version. It's like a off the street Ford Probe with some Hot Wheels big motor hanging out of it. That's just cool. And you've got, like you said, a mini pro stocker, which by the way, looks better than a modern day pro stocker. I love how it looks. And then you've got alters out there, and you've got futuristic dragsters, and it's everything allowed from 4 cylinders to, I don't know, heck, if you wanted to run 12, I guess you could, for all I know. You could bring just about anything. It just can't be on nitromethane. It can't be a funny car. That's about all I understand.
Right.
That is basically the rules. Anything else, if you want to show up, like Ricky Smith shows up with a full-blown pro mod and happens, to figure it out and win there.
Yeah, here's a cool stat for you about that. There was, Nitro Joe with his statistics comes out with all the competition limiter statistics, every year and monthly. And I had the second quickest competition limiter run last year, 77 under my index, and I was second only to Ricky Smith in that pro mod in Charlotte. So we're pretty proud of our combination. But like you say, if you can dream it, you can build it, you can bring it. So anything goes in competition eliminator.
So cool. So cool.
Pretty amazing.
Now, what is the classification though? So what I mean, give me the funky designation. Like, is it B automatic or altered C plus positive, or what is actually your designation on your
you got
car?
A couple letters right there for sure. So right now I'm running a combination which is C super modified. So a super modified car came off the production line, whatever year that it was assembled, at GM, Ford, Dodge, whatever that may be. You can also run an altered combination, which you can run altered in a super mod, but you can't run super mod in an altered like a pro stock style tube car. So I run C super modified. So it's a 333 inch naturally aspirated small block in my 2008 Cobalt, weighs 2,830 pounds, does have a Liberty, 5-speed Liberty, does have a clutch, no power adders for us, straight horsepower right out of Chomiski Performance at about a 3-to-1 ratio horsepower to cubic inch. So it's a screaming small block. We're leaving the starting line anywhere from 6,500 to 7,000 and shifting hopefully on time when that light comes on around 10,500. crossing the finish line closer to 11,000. So it's an absolute amazing car to drive. I wouldn't know what to do with my other hand if I had an automatic, so we're not quite there yet. So it's the game we choose to play. It's not for the faint of heart, but we absolutely love it.
Looks like you guys had a hell of a weekend. And no problem. Didn't necessarily go your way, but kind of tell us a little bit about how your weekend went, how well the car is running, and where you think you guys are, what your trajectory is as you start the season.
Yeah, starting off in no problem in Belrose, Louisiana is awesome. It's just such a great race put on by, the NHRA Division 4 team and everybody at No Problem Raceway. It's got the Mardi Gras theme painted on the track, and everybody's got a great attitude, a little bit of that Southern hospitality. So it's a great place to start the year. It's a tricky place to start the year because it's sea level. Boy, is it fast. So we had a couple days for the gearheads out there, 2,500 feet of density altitude, and a 29.9 barometer, which is Disneyland conditions until you get to Sunday after the rain with a freshly prepped racetrack, and it's 700 feet of density altitude at its worst. So tricky place to race this time of the year because of the opportunity to go so fast. So we started out there this year logistically correct for where we are based out of Texas. It's not too crazy far. It's in our home division. So, we made really good runs. We qualified number 2 at both events, gave it our all to try to get the pole. And with a couple more runs, I think we would have had a shot. But like I said, it's chess, not checkers. So you got to pick your battles. Could I win there and whack my index and be hurt for a long time and take that C off the window and maybe have to run another combination for the rest of the year? Absolutely. So we're playing the long game here. We had a great race, won a couple close rounds, took a little index, but we're going to head out to Vegas here next month for the national event, followed by the double divisional, and then we're going to hit Dallas because that's a home race for me in the month of May, which can be hot. So you got to save your index for races like that because it hurts my combination more than it hurts others, being a small cubic inch heavy car. So picking our battles, but a great start to the year. My dad at Chomiski Performance makes unbelievable horsepower, and my car chief, who we actually call Chief, gives me a fast race car every time. And I'm so supported with my partners that are on this car. I have a lot of stickers on there, but it's not for show. Everybody that's a part of this program is invested, and they're not sponsors. They're partners, and they're becoming family. So we got about 14 races on the schedule this season, all over the country. Obviously, you got to hit Indy. Obviously, you got to hit Vegas and Pomona at the end of the year and try to catch some points in our quest for a championship. So good weekend at No Problem. We're in one piece. Nothing fell off. So I think it's a great start.
Certainly a great start, and it's fitting. You look at Competition Eliminator, and to the average drag racing fan, and even to the smarter than average drag racing fan, it's a bit mysterious. And you've got a brand on your car, a marketing partner that is kind of mysterious. You care to clue us into the not seeing hopper that you've got on the side of your car?
Absolutely. I think you're talking about, the one that's on the door this year, which is Blind Frog Ranch. So Blind Frog Ranch has been a partner of ours for the last couple of years. Blind Frog Ranch is a physical ranch in the state of Utah. It is mysterious. It is unique. It is something to be seen. And so, the Ollinger family and their quest to find all the answers that are hidden, above and below ground there at the ranch is just fascinating. So, the Ollinger family and the ranch itself are the stars of the show, which is on Discovery Channel, which is called Mystery at Blind Frog Ranch. So they just finished season 4. Season 5 should be coming out soon, and you can catch, seasons 1 through 4 on the Travel Channel. So it's an amazing place filled with mystery and twists and turns at every curve below the surface and in the caves, in the taverns, from the ancient Aztec history to the beads they find to the extra things that might be in this universe that can be seen there. It's just a wild place. So the Ollinger family's been fantastic to me and my program. They came out to Las Vegas last season. I'd like to say they fell in love, and I think they're along for the ride for the foreseeable future. So can't say enough about them for sure.
The question I have is, you're in comp eliminator. A lot of people have a quest to kind of grow and maybe move on to another class. And there's a question in here as well. It's kind of a stepping stone for some. You ever thought about moving up to pro stock someday?
Yeah, absolutely. Pro stock's been in our blood for a long time. I had the opportunity to start driving in 2020 for a few teams, and my dad's been involved in the sport from a comp and pro stock level for a long time. He's a fantastic crew chief and engine builder. So you know how all good things come about at the PRI show after a couple cocktails. And 2021, we had the idea to start our own team, and honestly, we couldn't be happier. My dad does all the engines. He drives the rig around the country so I can get back to work. And we own the car, we own the truck and trailer, and we own all the decisions that happen throughout the race weekend and then back at the shop. So we never go to the starting line thinking we're wrong, but there's nobody else to blame, if it doesn't go our way. So we take a lot of pride in that and having our own program. And, there is nothing wrong at all with the new style of pro stock racing. It affords a lot of people to get into the class and try it and have some fun. Semi-affordable, absolutely. Way more than I got. So, one day, I'd love to, funny car, I'm out. Top Fuel, I'd try it, but I don't have 4 million laying around. Pro stock would be, the most fitting fit for me to move up one day. There's conversations that are always had. It's been a dream of mine for a long time. So I think we'll get there. I think we'll get there. I'd like to try. The mechanics are similar. Shifting, leaving the start line with a clutch, all the things that I've done throughout my 5-year career. I've never driven any other style car. So, I think I'd have a good chance, and we would partner with a team that would, give us some pretty good success right off the bat. We'd hope. So we'd have the ball in our hands, and, it would be up to us not to drop it. So, yeah, everybody wants to move up. I've idolized the class for a long time, and, I think that's in the cards one day, at least one time. But, for right now, we're focusing on turning win lights on with our competition eliminator car and running for a quest for a national championship. I think we have the parts, pieces, and team in place to put our hat in the ring at least.
Well, Dugenay, I'm done with drag racing. Like, I want to know more. See, I'm into all the Graham, Hancock, and this theory and that theory. I find it all fascinating, though I don't believe a lot of it. And listen to Rogan when all these really, really high thinking, yet they're probably just really out there and spent people are talking. Have you been to the ranch?
I have not been yet. No, it's it's definitely on my list. Hopefully this summer we can get out there and take a tour. When the guys have some downtime and can really show me around. But it's just watching the show, on the Discovery Channel just gives you such a good insight into what goes on there. And even if you're not into that sort of thing, like even if you're not into drag racing, when I try to tell people about drag racing, it's like an NFL football game. It's live sports. It's interesting, even if it's not your thing. Even if some of that stuff isn't for you, the show sucks you in. It really does. It's just all the things that happen that are live. I mean, Chad going into these caves and seeing the things that he does, and all the experts they bring in to give the history of everything going on there. It's just absolutely fascinating and a little intriguing, because like drag racers, we always want to know why and more and what else is there and how can we get there. So the partnership is very similar to our program.
Yes, I think it is all very fascinating, and what a fascinating partnership that they would find drag racing so fascinating to partner with you in competition eliminator. I look at things and right timing too, to expose a different audience and perk their interest to go research Blind Frog Ranch, because I think of like Cahokia and Poverty Point. I'm really into mound culture of Native Americans. Like, why in the world were they building these things throughout North America, and even in some strange places such as the valley that Charleston, West Virginia sits in? There was a whole mound building culture there in that valley. I'm not going to go into weeds anymore, but nonetheless, it's all very fascinating. And this partnership in drag racing is certainly very, very cool that it is going on. So how do you intend to deliver for them? Let me put it that way. It's a marketing platform. It's an exposure platform, and we appreciate you being on the show right now, but there certainly has got to be bigger aim for exposure than just the Competition Plus Power Hour. So how is that going to occur for Blind Frog Ranch?
Yeah, I mean, being at the Sportsman level is tough for partnerships, tougher than being in the Mission Food Series, right? We race at different tracks, different TV programs, things of that nature. So I just try to be as genuine as possible with my small social media followings that I have, and with TV podcasts and media outlets like you guys have here. Thank you so much for having me on. But there's no such thing as bad eyeballs. You never know who's listening. You never know who's reading your shirt. You never see who's in the stands. You never know who's out there. So to get more eyes on the ranch and to get more eyes on the show every time that Joe Costello or Chris Monahan say the words Blind Frog Ranch, it sparks somebody. I mean, my dad and I and Chief eat at Waffle House in the morning. We've got our crew shirts on because we're going to the racetrack, and people go, is that from the show? What are you guys doing here in Belrose, Louisiana, or Gonzales, Louisiana, right? So, it goes for all of my partners. I mean, CIP1 is the world's largest inventory of vintage Volkswagen parts based in, British Columbia, Canada. So CIP1's been with me for my entire drag racing career. So if you're into Volkswagens, check out the side of my car. Scott Seed is a great company. We've got 2 concrete companies with Watson Concrete and ACI. I've got Lone Star Gasket on the side of my car. If you need gaskets and you're located in the West Texas area or not, they've got CNC machines that can build a gasket for any sort of motor that you can imagine. The guys at NC Machine have a major machine shop in Canada. So, we've got a lot of different partners that I'm trying to get eyes on. And, that's the only thing I can do here is just preach the gospel of their brands and live by them and stand by them. I've got Maxima racing oil flowing through my engine all the time because it makes horsepower and it keeps our stuff living. So, that's what I can do for my partners. And you just never know who's out there. You never know who's on the plane sitting next to you. You never know who's at breakfast. You never know who's at the racetrack listening to, the guys on the announcer, things like that. So maybe if you're not into drag racing, but you're there with a friend and you're more into, the stuff that you were talking about, Lee, really might pique your interest, so there's no such thing as bad advertising, I guess you could say, in my book. So, we're doing everything we can for these partners, and shows like this definitely help. So I really appreciate you guys.
Indeed, man. Where's the next race? And I'll throw you another question as well. Where was that? I just saw it. What is your proudest moment of your professional career?
The next race for us, we're headed out west, middle of April. We're going to the NHRA 4-wide national event in Las Vegas. We'll be there in competition eliminator with RC Supermod, and then there is a double divisional NHRA race the weekend after that. So, you make one trip and can hit 3 races in just a few days. So very advantageous to a racer like us that, doesn't have the biggest budget traveling around the country. So Vegas is the next stop. And that leads me right into answering your question there. Last fall at the Las Vegas Fall Nationals, I was able to secure my first national event, NHRA Wally. Hopefully not my last, but one of the most proud moments of my career so far, for sure. I'm getting choked up just talking about it. I mean, these Wallies mean everything to myself and to our family. And, the coolest thing about that race was over the weekend there in Las Vegas, the Ollinger family from Blind Frog Ranch was there. The owners of Lone Star Gasket were there. The guys from Scott Seed were there. The guys from the concrete companies, Watson Concrete and ACI, were there, all in the house. We made, I think it was 12 runs over the weekend with the Roger Brogdon Roof Tech comp bonus fund shootout and a rerun, and to runner up in that, and then to go to the final and to take home my first Wally was something that you just dream of. As a kid, I sit at my desk and I drive to work in the morning, and it's all I think about is this sport and carrying on the legacy that my father has laid out for me, and doing the best I can for my partners. And when it all comes together on one day, and whether I don't, the car has my back when I don't do the best on the tree, and sometimes I bail us out if I get lucky on the tree, and to have everything come together, it just means the world to us drag racers.
Well, Taylor, look, thank you for your time and to get the word out, folks. You see right there, that is his page, and go give him a follow, give him a like, give him a share. Anywhere else that we can follow you and the competition eliminator drag racing endeavors, Taylor.
Yeah, everything for me is Taylor Chomiski 5233. Chomiski's a hard name to spell, but I'm the only one out there driving right now. So Taylor Chomiski 5233 on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. You'll be able to follow all my partners there. I partnered with Kelly Wade and Win Light News this year to keep me honest on social media and to give the best exposure to our fans and to all the viewers of all the different entities that we represent. So Taylor Chomiski 5233. You can find all my partners and more information on Volkswagen ports to concrete to Blind Frog Ranch itself. So thank you guys so much for having me this evening. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, man, look, anytime you need a share, reach out. I'd be more than glad to hit the share button for you on the Monday Morning Racer platform and get the word out. And, man, post those reels up. Post them. That will blow it up.
Guys. Absolutely. You got it. Thanks for all you guys do for the sport and having a Lucas Oil Racer on here. It means a lot to us. It's not about the spotlight for me, but it's about telling my story and, putting eyes on my sponsors. So thanks for all you guys do for the sport and keeping this thing going and having guys like myself on the show. It really means a lot.
Glad to do it. Thank you, Taylor. Have a good night.
Thanks, guys.
All right, folks. Look, competition eliminator, Dugenay, man, I wish some more people would stay in the stands and really try to follow it and understand what's happening, going on. It is such a fascinating and interesting class that you have some great characters within it because the car reflects the person so much in competition eliminator. If you walk up to someone in competition eliminator and they're running an altered, like a true altered that's like a 4-cylinder on its side or something running methanol, then you go talk to him and you're like, oh, now I understand. Like, this dude's a little off too. No wonder his car is this way,
Yeah.
Or, if you see someone like straight cut and the laces are tight and, they've got a naturally aspirated, kind of automatic, oh, you're okay. That fits, So I wish people would take the time to pay more attention to competition eliminator. It's such a neat class. I mean, you got old pro stock trucks running. You've got old pro stockers. You've got pro mods. You've got alters. I mean, just about everything. It's absolutely wild.
Yeah. I think we miss out on some really cool stuff by not paying attention to that class. It's a lot going on and a little bit confusing to understand the indexes and all of that, but there's a lot of cool vehicles out there. It's just cool that you can pretty much bring anything you want to the show and take it out there and race. So that's really cool. And I think his car is pretty cool. It kind of reminds me of the old school pro stockers back then. It's pretty solid. I like that. And there's a lot of other cool cars out there too.
There is. And yes, love that little hot rod he's got. It really does harken back to where pro stock was. There was a day and time, there was a thought like, let me put the biggest motor in the smallest car and send it, whether that was Pintos or Mavericks or Vegas and so on. Well, I think there's something with that hot rod that we can take that I think many of us desire. Look, I love pro stock drag racing. I assume you love pro stock drag racing. There is no doubt that it is some of the, if not the closest drag racing in the NHRA right now. You cannot deny those things.
Right. But
I still want them to look like the car that they're supposed to look like and not naturally aspirated pro mods.
Yeah, I agree. That touch is missing for sure. It really is.
I firmly think, yes, it is missing. Well, Dugenay, we got a lot more to talk about concerning NHRA drag racing, Sega drag racing. And if you are going to find a hot rod to go drag racing, whether it's competition eliminator, pro stock, pro mod, or beyond, Quarter Mile Classifieds is certainly one place, your place, to go and shop and find that comp car, that top fueler, that pro mod, that whatever you need to go drag racing in the quarter mile.
QuarterMileClassifieds.com is a new and easier alternative to online classified advertising. We make it a simple experience with $20 getting your car, hauler, engine, or parts listed for 2 weeks. If you want to make a bigger splash, we have VIP listings that provide even more exposure, including social media. On QuarterMileClassifieds.com, you get up to 10 photos of video and up to 2,000 characters to deliver the message you need to make the sale. QuarterMileClassifieds.com is a trusted classified ad partner of Competition Plus and the RoofTech Top Eliminator Bonus Fund. Visit QuarterMileClassifieds.com today.
Taylor was in that commercial. You see that?
Yeah, I didn't realize that was in there.
Yeah, he was in there. He's in the commercial. He made the commercial. No, okay, So, hey, Dave, we'll put you in the car. Let's go in and let's do it, and probably lose a lot in competition eliminator if we went and got a car. Nonetheless, it'd be a whole lot of fun. Douche, man, where do you want to go in the shutdown zone, if you will, of the show in conversation? There's a lot that I think we can take and bring up and talk concerning NHRA, Southeast Gases Association, chaos, no prep. I mean, it's everywhere, man.
Well, to canard or not to canard, that is the question.
It is. And, I thought mud flaps went behind the tire.
Right. Yeah, this is it's a little different than deflecting air, not necessarily dirt.
Right. So as it's been announced, I think it was yesterday the press release came out. Josh Hatchett, NHRA, sent that out. And here is a screenshot of the actual email. It states that NHRA officials announced that mud flaps in Top Fuel will be optional for the next 4 races, starting at the upcoming NHRA Arizona Nationals in Phoenix on March 21st through the 23rd. While NHRA evaluates the effectiveness of reducing rear wheel loads without significantly impacting other areas. The NHRA Technical Department will reassess the mud flap after the 4-race trial period, working with Top Fuel teams to gather as much information as possible. If no mud flap is utilized, the side of the Top Fuel body must be covered with a replacement body panel with no bare chassis exposed.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's cool they're listening or whatever. I don't know how much difference this is going to make. We've seen some people run it, not run it. I don't think the canards are the problem. I think it's just a simple laws of physics. You know what I mean? Bobby put together a side-by-side of Dan Mercier's run and Antron's run. And the glaring thing about both of those is that the car was wagging the tail at the time of the tire letting go. And maybe, just maybe at the height of its growth, where it's happening at on the racetrack, where most the power speed is being applied, that when it is hooking up that hard and, at full go, that moving back and forth is kind of putting pressure on the sidewall. And because of physics, because of the tire growth, and how the great ability of them to get the tire to stick to the racetrack, it weakens that wall and it lets go. Something has to go. I think that's probably a little bit what we have here. It's just the simple fact that the speeds and what they are doing is a lot greater than what we have been, in the past. And we're kind of reaching our max on that, in that area. I don't think it's a Goodyear issue, a bad tire issue. I think he's just exceeded the, as Memphis Lonnie said on the Not Bland show, exceeded the elasticity limit.
Look, I think that's accurate. This dates back, what we're talking about, to the SCAG Pro Superstar Shootout. As you can see in this photo, Josh Hart, Sean Reed, they are not running the mud flap, the canard. It is a straight body panel down the side. We can see another photo here. No mud flap, no canard. And in Victory Lane, you can clearly see you've got no flap with that turnout in front of the big drag slicks on a top fuel dragster. Well, that final round, we understand that Goodyear asked, both teams cooperated because there was tire issues. We had Antron with that tire explosion, and apparently other teams were having issues. They ask, Goodyear does, the teams to give this a shot. And if you go watch a Chaos Live episode, I think not the latest one, but the one before the latest one on the Funny Car Chaos YouTube channel, Chaos Live, Rob Windland was on the show. Rob Windland with Star Racer Belts is a sponsor, is the official blower belt for Chaos, and was on announcing that, but also sharing about the big win in Bradenton. And he said the tires were junk after that. So I don't think it's a mud flap canard issue. I don't see that as the issue, because if I'm not mistaken, from what I've seen with my own eyes, we do, as you mentioned, we've got a sidewall issue. I can remember Fall Nationals, 2 years ago, working for Doug Foley, I remember tires coming back and out of the sidewall, chunks gone. And the sidewall was all the way down to whatever the innermost part is. Like, you could see the ribbing that these tires look like on the inside. That it's done. And when I'm talking about the side, I'm not talking about in the middle.
Right.
That tire is done. And I also, from that event, there were reports of many teams using a set per run. And it seems to be that under the right conditions, no matter what the prep is of the track, that there is just so much bite in a good track with good conditions that, I think we've reached a limit with the Goodyear tire. And that's not to say Goodyear's building a bad tire. I think we've just reached a hard wall limit in the sport of NHRA drag racing. My goodness, Brittany Force went 302 miles per hour to the 8th mile.
Yeah. Insane.
And we're doing all of this now in 1,000 feet. It's 320 feet shorter than what we used to go to, and we thought the numbers were so impressive and insane, and now they're doing it beyond what they were doing with an extra 320 feet. It's absurd. It's impressive, but it's absurd. I'm not sure at the end of this that the conclusion will be, the canard was the problem, the downforce from it was the problem. I think the conclusion will be, we got a tire problem. And that tire problem is not necessarily a tire problem in manufacturing from Goodyear. It's we've reached a limit issue. That's what I think we'll find.
Yeah. Because, we know the tires have been chunking, but they have been chunking as far as sidewalls go. I think that's an interesting point that Dave brings up here. He says, so there were 3.6 360s with the 2 top fuels and funny car passes in NHRA in 2024 and 3 tire failures. This is less than 8%. So it's low tire failures of all the passes going down the track. That isn't a tire issue. I think it's the right conditions is where the things get kind of sketchy. I don't think that the conditions are always there for that to be a problem, but I do think in the best conditions, and when maybe it also has something to do with different track surfaces as well as what causes it. It's just been interesting, though. You've had them these tire failures so close together, and they're very similar. You know what I mean? It's not like, they look as if something has fallen off the car and hit the tire just right and just boom, gone. But especially when you put both of those runs side by side, it just seems that there's being some side motion force being put on that sidewall a little bit more than you would want, and that's why it's going away in that fashion. And obviously it has to do with track prep and conditions and all of that play a part. So I think right now, Lee, that's the nature of the beast of where we're at as far as how much horsepower we're making, and that something in those areas have got to give. And right now, your weakest link is your tire.
Yeah, something's got to give, and it's giving a whole lot. Now, I will argue this, Dave. I think your numbers are inaccurate, and here's why. You are counting tire failure by what you're seeing on TV as a major pop. I'm counting tire failure as I come back from one run and I can't run that set again.
Yeah.
And you don't have those numbers. I don't have those numbers, except from the verbal expression from teams and seeing it that, I just lost another set, and I lost a set before in qualifying and a set before in qualifying. Yeah. And it does seem to be a condition issue. I don't think we're going to have this issue in the summer. Breezy tracks.
Yeah, right.
This is a condition situation when tracks are good. And we've seen tire failures with NHRA prep, and maybe it's less prep, but you can say whatever you want to about Brayton. There are those that are like, hey, it wasn't that much different prep. I mean, maybe there's just more residual from other classes. That's a possibility. Right. But then we see the issue with Mercier there at the Gator Nationals on, we could argue a track that with the weather conditions, maybe it wasn't as rubbered as other times. Maybe it did have more glue. I don't know, but I would argue, and I think most top fuel teams and nitro teams would argue, they're counting it as a failure even when it doesn't pop if they can't get more than one run out of a set.
Yeah, I think that is a big issue because normally, they'll break tires in for a race day,
right.
And you're chunking tires just in qualifying. That's an issue for a lot of teams. They don't want to go through that many tires in a weekend. That's for sure.
No, who would? I mean, no.
Yeah, it's costly, and I do believe though you're right. It's based on this. Just the conditions have to be right. I think you probably find it more in your hero sessions as well, where conditions are right. You got great track, great air. You're making a ton of horsepower you can throw at it. So. Like I said, it's not a knock against Goodyear at all. It's just right now where we are with our science and this big, huge science project of making horsepower and making speed in low ETs. You've exceeded what the tire is capable of handling in the most adverse, strenuous conditions.
It does seem to be that. And look, Dave brings up the rear end issue. There is certainly a rear end issue, but I've got to also ask, what's the difference between the Strange and the Chrisman? Because from what I understand, the Chrisman is having failures.
Yeah. And see, I talked about this on the Not Blend show too. I find it really hard to believe that there's this, this pocket of or batch of parts, gear parts that were sent out that were, maybe the metal's not that great, some kind of defect. You should be already through a lot of this stuff right now. You know what I mean? Like, we should be past that. That happened, a while ago. You should be already going to shuffle through a lot of this stuff. We shouldn't be still having this problem. So, it is very interesting that we're not having this issue with another brand, and it's only with one brand. And then you have to look at, okay, what are the differences between the two, and is their design being taxed to the max? You know what I mean? That any little wear creates a situation under a heavy load later on where there's a catastrophic failure now. You kind of have to look at all the different parameters of what these parts are under, and why they're failing like that. But I do agree. There is a rear end issue, and whatever that may be, that has to be figured out, and I think needs to be figured out pretty quickly. Because it's cool they have diapers and all, but I mean, it's also that diaper is pretty new, and I don't think we want to see any more gear oil getting on the racetrack. Huge reason why we had an issue in a window where we had time on Saturday. The gear oil on the racetrack from Proc really did things in.
Yeah, the synthetic gear oil is just apparently nasty to clean up, and I don't understand fully the science behind why synthetic oil is so nasty to clean up and what it does to rubber and how it seeps in and all that. But it is nasty. I mean, every time a pumpkin has spilled its guts, we have a very, very long downtime that affects the whole entire event. It is wild. So, yeah, I mean, what has happened? As Dave W. mentions, there's something going on. Okay, tires right now, rear ends. I have to want. Is there something that's happening in the tuning window that people have never tried before that they are doing now? Okay, there's a lot that it could be. And I agree with you. I don't think the solution is just putting a diaper over these rear ends. And there are those also that have serious concerns in the funny car ranks of a diaper and it holding fluid and there being a fire and that catching fire. And now I've got fluid under my rear end.
Yeah.
Okay. There's even bigger implications beyond just oiling down the track with rear end synthetic gear oil. So these are some major issues, and certainly people are talking about it, and people who know far more than you and I. But drag racing right now has, at the highest level in Top Fuel and Nitro Funny Car, hit another fascinating window. I look at this. We're in another time of kind of like, when blowovers were happening routinely. We've hit that now, but it's rear ends and tires for whatever reason. So we'll see after. It's going to be fascinating. The minds that are in drag racing that know it so well, and the NHRA tech department, what we're going to have reported. Hopefully there is a report. I hope there's a report that here are the findings of all the data under the conditions without running the mud flap canard.
Yeah, I would like to see the data and compare, see whether it makes a difference or not. I'm leaning towards the fact that there's maybe some small differences, but I don't think it's the solution to the problem that they're trying to find, so to speak.
It's worth a shot.
Yep.
Worth a shot. But yes, I don't. Again, you look at least from one instance that they took the mud flaps off, and apparently it wasn't much of a difference.
Right.
So, yeah, we'll see how races on end that it works out. But, you know, I don't think it's going to have a big impact. But someone compile the data. Again, it would be interesting to see, and from my memory, what we have with these tires popping. It seems to always be toward the beginning and the end of the year. It's not during the summer, and the tracks are greasy and hot. So, I don't know. It's interesting. It's an interesting issue. And, hey, the nerve of a race car driver that there is clearly something up, and we haven't got it fully figured out, and they're willing to strap into a metal sled that's a bunch of bars and attempt to go 1,000 feet in 330 plus miles per hour.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't think we give them enough credit.
Yeah. You got that right. That's some guts right there. Some guts. You see Dave comment. He's like, 75th anniversary announcement is we're going to slow them down and go back to 1320 like God intended. They've been talking about that. You know, Tony's been was beating that drum for a long time. I don't see them making any changes to any type of a motor spec to slow them down. And I honestly think no matter what you do, they're going to find a way. Crew chiefs will eventually find a way. Because I said it about 1,000 feet. Everybody was complaining, you know, it's not going to be the same, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, just give them time. Eventually, they'll be right back to where they were when they were running in the full quarter mile. They'll be right back to doing what they were doing at 1,000 feet. And sure enough, here we are going 341 miles an hour in 1,000 feet. Like,
right. There's an interview with Don Perdome that was on the ESPN coverage after the announcement of going to the 1,000 foot mark. And he, you know, I'm not going to get it word for word, but the essence of what he said was, look, folks, we've been blowing stuff up since the 50s and 60s, and we have blown stuff up all the way from that time to this time. It doesn't matter what distance we run. We're going to be blowing stuff up. And that is a reality. That is a reality. So I think right now, though, even though stuff does happen, as Dave says, and you've got we've always had tires popping. I can think of an incident, Darrell Gwynn, 1987, just comes to my mind. He's in the Budweiser, red and white dragster with the weird front, front piece out there in front of the dragster, popped the tire in the lights. Okay, it's always happened, and it is happening. I think the bigger issue now, we see the pop, and we're talking about tires popping, but I think the bigger issue is not just the tires popping, it's I can't get more than one or two runs out of a set of tires.
Yeah.
And that is something, from my understanding in the sport, is different and has changed.
Yeah.
So I think that's why the teams are looking at this right now. It's not just the tires popping. It's, hey, we're coming back and there's chunks out of the sidewall after 1-2 runs. Yeah. And this is new. This is different. And, it very well could be prep. Maybe the formula changed, and something. I don't know. But I look at all the parameters. But the teams certainly are concerned about something, or they wouldn't be trying what they're trying. And Goodyear is concerned about something because they go to the finalists there at Bradenton and they ask. So there's a concern.
Yeah,
there's a concern for sure.
Definitely. Man. shoot, what else we got going on this weekend as far as racing? Obviously, we got the event here, South Georgia Motorsports Park, but what else is good?
Well, you've got in the world of drag racing, for a side that I know many may not be fans of here, but I find it as a very fascinating and entertaining side of drag racing, the backside no prep outfit. They have their big one, their arguably their Indy, their March meet, their World Series of drag racing, Dig or Die Flashlight Fiesta 5 at Rockingham Dragway. And it is certainly one to attend, and that is going to be taking place this weekend. I believe it's the 21st and 22nd there in Rockingham, North Carolina. And with mentioning Rockingham, look, just got to say that the new owners out there are getting the work done. Man, all the time see some update of brand new restrooms, brand new showers. They recently have put the work in on the concrete structure for the stands. They have been putting the work in to bring the rock back to a rock solid nature.
Yeah, it's good to see that. It's one of the classic tracks, out there, and it's nice to see it kind of getting back to where it needs to be.
DRM, I give it to you. You won in the comment section tonight. Nobody's going to top that. That was good. That was good. If I had an award to give you, I would give you an award. Wow. Yeah. Hey, let's go down that route, Dugenais. Drag Racing Mayhem brings it up in a funny way, but the IHRA, I think they're being a bit too ambitious. I think people did misunderstand in principle. And I think, in a strange way, it's all good because we are talking about the IHRA. If the IHRA at the end of the day comes out with, 4 out of the 7 tracks and we have 3 nitro jams, is that really that bad of a deal?
No, it's not. It's like I said that last week on the show. Some misunderstandings, but at the end of the day, I don't care whether they acquire them or they don't acquire them. The bottom line is that they need tracks to be hosting their shows, and as long as they have tracks, willing to, showcase these events that they're bringing back. That's really the most important part. And, they're getting some really good pub. We're talking about them. And, that's going to keep the buzz going. So, I don't think there's anything negative you can acquire from it. It's pretty funny though, the back and forth with all of it. But I think it's still going to be of benefit to the IHRA.
It is going to be a benefit to the IHRA, and again, I had David Sharp, the track operator manager at Rocket City Dragway, on earlier this week on Between the Slicks, and he made Rocket City Dragway is an IHRA track, and he said, "Look, everybody be patient," and to some extent, remember. The old adage, the idiom is there is no such thing as bad publicity. And, Double O Blank Show, they, they're having fun and they've been doing their thing for a while, and they've got that market cornered in the drag racing world, and they make a laugh out of this and that. And that's very cool. I think we need that even in drag racing. And sometimes people take it too seriously, but nonetheless, have a laugh. And at the end of the day, if the IHRA turns this around and we have IHRA begin to make a solid effort back to glory, I think that's good because, man, I can look back and you can see that IHRA at one time was outpacing, I think, the NHRA. And I've talked to those that were there in that scene, like Murph McKinney, competing regularly in the IHRA, and he feels that way, and others feel that way. There was a day that the IHRA was just a bit of a step ahead of the NHRA, and we've got a lot to thank the IHRA for, such as, Winston coming into the sport and things of that nature. So would love to see that return to glory. Kudos to you, Drag Racing Mayhem. That was a good one. That was a good one.
Yeah,
I like it.
That
I
was
like
a good one. That was a good
one. Ty. So yes, Daryl did race in a Coors car, but he also raced in this car. And I'm referring to this one and the one after it. You can see Daryl Gwynn there on the side. He raced for Budweiser for at least 2-3 years in the sport of NHRA drag racing. And his incident was beyond 1987 that you're referring to there at Santa Pod.
Yeah, he was kind of the Budweiser king for the Budweiser king.
Yeah, the Coors deal came on later.
Yeah. That was an interesting car. For sure.
Yeah, it's cool. Cool, man. Cool time too.
Yeah.
In the sport and innovation and people trying this, trying that, and how can we get to this particular marker? You talk to Murph McKinney, and Garlitz was trying to get to 300 before Kenny, and Kenny was trying to get to 300, and you've got Garlitz with the monostruct car, as it's so well known as. They were trying to get there through engineering and aerodynamics, and Dale Armstrong and Kenny Bernstein got there just through sheer power and applying it through the clutch to the track. So a lot of different thoughts, and hey, we still have a glimpse of that even in NHRA drag racing today.
Yeah, it was a lot of cool innovation, even with the mud flaps. You had some really cool things that people did in trying with those. I thought that were pretty interesting. Not sure if they really made a difference or not, but yeah, they were pretty cool.
Right. At one time, I can recall with the mud flaps, the canards, fully formed, almost Gary Ormsby-esque from 1986 streamliner molded elements on the car. Kenny Bernstein, for a while, I remember him running something that certainly more like a canard that you would find on a modern day neo nostalgia front engine top fuel dragster. So there have been other school of thoughts, and it might be interesting to see what we come out of this with the mud flaps.
Yeah, it will be interesting. Drag Racing Mayhem talks about the IHRA and the cars that they want. Where do you think these cars will come from? I do see some of the small budget teams that do race or only race a few races in NHRA likely being willing to go over there and probably could participate full time in that just based on cost and everything. I'm not sure if they will, have a rules package as far as, I guess, parts and all those things to kind of, I guess, have a budget to where these guys can actually, come out and perform well. But where do you think these cars are going to come from for these events?
So let me also mention that next week on the Competition Plus Power Hour, we'll have a representative from the IHRA. So come back, ask some questions. We'll see what we get as answers. Drag Racing Mayhem, to your question on cars, let me first redirect from a direct answer. I do not think the IHRA should have a program that resembles the NHRA in any shape, form, way, or fashion. I think they need to elevate other classes to professional status and to the top of the card. I think they need to market themselves as the home for other forms of drag racing. They need to go after top alcohol dragster. They need to go after top alcohol funny car. They need to create a rules package that will funnel in all the modern fuel alters that there are right now, such as the War Wagon and Pete Dove's Back from the Ashes and Drastic Plastic, those type of cars. And then I think they need to have a match racing type of scenario with Top Fuel and Nitro Funny Car. Now, Nitro Funny Car, they could have at least an 8-car field, at least an 8-car field. There are the Nitro Funny Cars out there. They could, with the Jack Wyatts and the Paul Smiths, the Dana Hards, the Hertzogers, there's enough. They could actually, I think, have an 8-car field, people attempting to qualify for an 8-car field. But I definitely think they need to go after some of these classes that will tell you that they don't feel that they're being treated well in the NHRA. I think the invitation to 500 cubic inch pro stock is a nice gesture, but I don't believe they will have very many, if any at all, show up to compete in the IHRA unless there is some huge amount of money that the 500 cubic inch pro stockers are going to be able to go race for. I think, becoming again, as the IHRA was the home of mountain motor pro stock, where it really developed and became its own, yes, you've got a possibility of that. I mean, you could see John Montecalvo on his own social media feeds, expressing things like, man, we might be able to go home, referring to the IHRA with Mountain Motor Pro Stock, which is where we get it from. So I think for the IHRA to be successful, their program, their Nitro Jam, their whatever they're going to call it, it needs to look wildly different than what the NHRA is doing, first and foremost.
Yeah, it needs to be an alternative. I said that before too. It needs to be an alternative. It doesn't need to be taking the same model as the NHRA. Nothing can be the same about what they do. It has to be something totally different that's going to attract eyes to something because it is different, because it is something new. Playing the same old game will get you the same old that what was the IHRA as it wasted away into oblivion. So, yes, those things are going to be important, and, kind of modeling and molding yourself to something different and eye-catching and an alternative is going to be where it's at.
I agree. I think they need to provide an alternative. And look, I think there's room for Fuel Altered right now in its modern version to be something real.
Right.
And I can tell you, Fuel Altered is popular. I can tell you just from March meet, my video coverage, Top Fuel Eliminator, video's doing okay. Nitro Funny Car, video's doing okay. AA Fuel Altered, that video is over 50,000 views.
That's crazy.
Like, people want some Fuel Altered.
Yeah.
I know I want Fuel Altered. Man, when Fuel Altered go to the lanes, I want to watch.
Yeah, it's pretty
I love
cool.
me some Fuel Altered. Okay?
Yeah.
Old school to new school. Give it to me. And I think the IHRA, if they will look to the past and what made them a little different and successful there, and also look to the future while being different from the NHRA, there is your program. Elevate AA Fuel Ultra to a professional category, run for a championship. Elevate Top Alcohol Funny Car back to a professional class like you had it back in your day, and give place for Pro Mod and Mountain Motor Pro Stock, while having a match race program of Top Fuel and Nitro Funny Car. That's what you do, I think.
Yeah. I think that's the right way to go. It's not going to work. I don't think any other way. You can't be the same. And
you can't
kind of learn from where the NHRA makes mistakes and overloading the national events with too many classes. You kind of play it smart and have that happy medium. because it's all about success, and it's all about them having success early. And then once you have that success early, what you do, what you do with that success and having a solid model is going to be the catalyst in having that sustained success. So that's kind of your baseline. So that's definitely something that needs to be, thoroughly thought out and focused on if they want the rest of it to come together to be at the end of it all a successful product.
I agree. It's got to be different. We'll see what differences we may learn next week, as we do plan to have an IHRA representative here on the Competition Plus Power Hour. Well, Dujane, I look forward to seeing you there at South Georgia Motorsports Park for the season opener of the Southeast Gassers Association. And folks, just keep your eyes peeled. There's an announcement coming for Sega, and you're going to be able to experience it differently than you ever have. So just keep your eyes peeled. Blake, you've asked a couple of times. I don't know when I will be back at an NHRA national event. No idea. The work with Sega and Chaos, and then a few events here and there. Tons of overlap. And, right now, beyond sharing press releases, watching content, sharing something, talking about it right here or on Between the Slicks, I just don't have the bandwidth for it. I'm one dude, and it's a lot. You could argue NHRA coverage was March meet as well, and that's what I'm most interested in concerning the NHRA this year. Is if I do cover, it's probably Heritage Series in some way or Legends, Nitro, something of that nature. But I don't know how many NHRA national events I will attend. I would like to try a few things. Like I wouldn't mind if I had a window open and then be like, hey, I'd like to apply for the influencer, access and see for the first time ever if I could get starting line footage that I'm actually able to use instead of it being knocked because I'm just hired by a team and not actually a part of the team. Yet I see other people hired by teams able to use starting line footage, and yet they're not knocked, but they are the same gender. I find that quite interesting.
Yep.
There you go.
I agree. My focus is the same thing. I don't know. Can't tell you how many events I'm going to do. Really kind of ironing out and seeing what we can do and what I can do with this Sega schedule. And that's kind of my focus right now. Just kind of looking at other forms of what's going on, other drag racing that's going on. And there's a couple events that I'd like to do that are on my bucket list, and we'll see how it goes.
Yes, right, man. Look, drag racing is just so rich right now. You can go see coverage from 1320 video and hardly ever see anything about NHRA drag racing. They've been to NHRA drag races. Don't get me wrong. They have. They've been to the winter. They've been to the finals, and they've put out coverage, and they've seen NHRA funny cars over in the Middle East. So they certainly do. But you can go there and you can see half-mile drag racing at an airport. You can see that type of coverage, or you can watch that track channel and you can see Texas 2K coverage, or you can look at Schooled Media and see Dig or Die coverage with Corey Stamper, or you can look at Monday Morning Racer coverage and see March Meet, or you can look at so on and so on and so on and so on. It is so rich. It is very challenging to cover it all. And the fact of the matter is, to have a platform within drag racing, you in fact don't have to cover NHRA drag racing.
Yeah, that is very true. So many different forms of drag racing out there. And, a lot of it, people don't really get an opportunity to see it for themselves. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, there's so much you could do out there in the world of drag racing and never touch an NHRA event at all.
Right. It is just it's just that rich. It's that diverse. There's that much drag racing going on. And, though, personally, my channel may not blow up because of it. You look at some of my coverage last year, it was front engine top fuel at Rocket City Dragway. It was Pro Mods at Montgomery International Dragway. It was Southeast Gassers Association, and a sprinkling here and there of NHRA drag racing. And when it was NHRA drag racing, it's Top Alcohol Funny Car and Top Alcohol Dragster or Factory X. Oh gosh, man, that's so annoying. There's so much potential there. But nonetheless, look, the professional categories get a ton of coverage, and drag racing is just so diverse. Some of those other classes need some love, like Competition Eliminator and us having Taylor tonight. If you've got a YouTube channel, don't just cover Top Fuel, Funny Car, Pro Stock, and Pro Stock Motorcycle. Throw in something. Like I loved, Dave W. and Darren Williams Jr. Yourself would be on there. Occasionally I'd be on there. Other folks would, tune in and be there. But Dave W. and Darren Williams Jr., when they were reviewing very hardcore after the national events, they would throw in that slot, that Sportsman slot, including those on snowmobiles. And they would share who won. And look, those are important moments to even just mention who won and who they are. So, yeah, drag racing is rich and it's diverse, and it is far deeper and wider than I think most people realize. And it is fascinating how narrow people can be as well. I just find it fascinating how people, let me put it this way. I had someone today on my fuel altered coverage from March meet ask, are they racing to the full quarter mile? I replied, they are racing to 1,320 feet. I'm waiting for a response. That's all. I think I'm done on that. I really think I am, Dujanay.
That's bad. That's bad.
I'm just saying. I'm waiting on a reply.
Went right over his head. Right over his head. That's sad. That's sad. But that's the world we live in.
Remember, folks, a drag strip is a ruler. You've got those blocks.
Yeah. I mean, not that hard. Not that hard.
Before we do end, in fact, Dave W. brings it up, and someone else in the comments section as well. We lost a lot of folks in the world of drag racing here recently. And, TJ Bailey there at Texas Motorplex, God bless his family. And what a sad incident there. I had interacted with TJ many times with events at the Texas Motorplex and Chaos. He was passionate about the sport. He was passionate about his job and his role there. And big loss for the Texas Motorplex family. I think of, Michael Bartone. It's wild. Crew members came by and picked up the brand new car for Chris Crable and Lieber and the Heritage Series that just got done in McKinney Court. And Michael passes. And then I think Dale Schaefer has passed, Bernie Federley. Bernie Federley, his impact in the sport. I mean, how can you measure it? I don't know if you can. So lost him as well. And then Tim Lewis. Tim Lewis is someone that I can speak of to personally, the Foley and Lewis racing team. He's the Lewis side. Tim Lewis and going to miss Tim. He was always someone to go up, handshake, hey man, how you doing? And I appreciate Tim a whole lot. Very encouraging to me, not just what I was doing for Doug Foley and Foley Lewis Racing, but very encouraging to me what I was doing in motorsports across the board. And I'm very appreciative of that. He was certainly a good one, and one that you get a laugh from. You could also get a lot of wisdom from. He was successful in life, being a business partner in a race team. And, he could have funded it himself if he wanted it to, but he didn't choose to do it that way. But we've lost many people in drag racing here recently. I just saw today that there was a member of the South Georgia Motorsports Park team that has passed. And I'm just going to say what I said earlier on Between the Slicks. Live your life in such a way that when you pass, people can truly speak well of you and they don't have to lie.
Yeah, that's important. That is very important. Very important. Good work.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. We've talked a lot about drag racing, but honestly, as we end the show, the biggest elements is, life. And honestly, we're having fun here, and we're talking about a sport, and, we're not solving or curing cancer here. We're just having fun and looking forward to the next time to go to the track and have a blast. And I hope this weekend you do just that. Get to the track, whichever one's nearest to you. If you're up north, you're probably not going to be able to go to a track, but I hope that's soon. And you can enjoy some drag racing wherever you're at. Come on down to Georgia, or head out to Arizona, or head out to North Carolina. Or if you're in Pennsylvania, they got Division I action there at Maple Grove. Wherever, get to the track and enjoy it. I'm Lee Craft, a.k.a. the Monday Morning Racer. That man over there is Mr. Dujanay Bland, host of the Not Bland Show. Follow him on Facebook and YouTube as well. God bless, and keep the pedal to the metal.
Reliability to drive thousands of miles. Confidence for those who fly high. Redline oil products give you the power to crush the competition. And a track record of being the best. Redline oil products. You push it to the limit, we'll protect it.